Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to unpack just one single powerful verse from the book of Revelation. And it's like a single frame from a cosmic movie, a movie that, according to our sources, might still be playing out today. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Wow, I mean, that is just packed with some intense imagery. So you've got a dragon, a woman, a child, and this epic chase. The big question is, what on earth is this all about? What does it actually mean? To figure this out, we've got to put on our detective hats. We're going to start with the clues hidden in plain sight, the original words themselves, to see what story they tell. So our first step is to zoom in on a few key words from the original Greek. You can't really get the story if you don't know who the main characters are and what they're actually doing, right? This is the foundation for everything. So first character on the stage, the drakon. Pretty easy one, right? It means dragon. And the text around this verse makes it super clear who this is supposed to be. Satan, the great deceiver, the accuser. Okay, now this next word, this is where things get really juicy. And it's all about the grammar. The word is eblethe. It means he was cast or thrown down. Now here's the kicker. It's a passive verb. Why does that matter? Well, it means this wasn't his choice. He didn't just decide to leave. Oh no, he was thrown out, kicked out, forcefully expelled. So, what do you do when you get humiliatingly kicked out of somewhere? Well, the dragon's response is pure, unadulterated rage. The word used is edioxin, and it's an active verb. It means he persecuted, chased, went after. He's not just sitting around moping. This is an immediate, aggressive, all-out pursuit. Okay, let's put that first part together. The dragon gets thrown out of heaven. He knows it, and his instant reaction is to go on the attack. This is Act 1 of our story, the ultimate cosmic demotion. And you can see that shift so clearly here. Before, he had a role in heaven as the accuser. After, he's stuck on earth. And let's be crystal clear about this. This isn't just, a change of scenery. This is a total stripping of his heavenly authority, his access, his status. And get this, here's the real twist of the knife. The analysis points out a huge irony. In his big, prideful play to be like God, he gets thrown down so far that he loses that divine perspective entirely. He's now spiritually blind himself. So the great deceiver has to operate through confusion because, well, that's all he has left. All right, so the dragon is angry, and he's stuck on earth. He can't get back into heaven, so what does he do? He turns his fury on the next available targets. And that brings us to the second act, the woman and the man-child. The big question is, who are they supposed to be? Well, according to the interpretation, the woman isn't just one person. It's a symbol with a few layers. Yes, on one level, it points to Mary, the mother of Jesus. But thinking bigger, prophetically, she represents the whole community of God's people. The group that births God's work into the world. So that's seen as representing ancient Israel and now the church. And the man-child, well, that one's interpreted pretty clearly as Jesus. And this is where it gets really cool, because it ties this whole epic scene all the way back to Genesis, to the very beginning. Remember that ancient promise of a conflict between the serpent and the seed of the woman? This is seen as the ultimate showdown, the fulfillment of that prophecy. So, let's connect the dots. We've got the dragon, cast down to earth. We've got the woman and child representing God's people and Jesus. What this verse is describing, then, is a massive shift. The main battlefield for this spiritual war is no longer in heaven. It's moved. It's right here on earth. Okay, so what does a war on earth look like when you're a demoted spiritual being? Well, since he lost his authority, he has to change his tactics. He can't command anymore, so he has to influence. And what are his weapons? According to our sources, it's things like deception, fear, temptation, and his target is the church, that symbolic woman carrying the legacy of the man-child. And that's a really important point. This whole conflict isn't about, physical armies. That's why this quote from Ephesians is so perfect here. It reminds us that the real struggle is invisible. It's a spiritual one against, spiritual wickedness. The dragon's persecution is a war of ideas, of lies, of darkness. So think about what we just did. We started with just a few ancient Greek words, and from them we've unpacked this huge theological worldview. But so what? Why does any of this matter now? Well, because this single verse is seen as a key, a lens, to understand the spiritual reality we might be living in right now. Let's boil it all down to the absolute essentials. Point 1, Satan's demotion is final. He lost his access to heaven, period. Point 2, all that rage he has is now aimed directly at the church on earth. Point 3, the war has changed. It's now fought with lies and deception, not heavenly authority. And that leads to the final point. The church's job, in this view, is to see this war for what it is and simply stand firm. And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If this whole interpretation is right, if this ancient war that started with a dragon's fury is still going on, if it's being fought every day through deception and influence, then where exactly are the front lines of that battle today?